I'm Dean Abbott, and you're listening to Have All Voted Who Wish, where we talk with members of the Illinois House Republican Caucus, discussing their role as state representative and their interests when they're away from the Capitol. In this episode, we talk with State Representative Tom Bennett of Gibson City about his plans for the spring session and changes in the process he believes are needed in order to accomplish real reform. We'll also talk about his travels around his large 106th district, his days as a school teacher, and how his gospel singing and time with his family provide a great way to relax when he's at home. Tom, thanks for taking a little bit of time and sitting down with us today.
Oh, I'm very glad to be here. Glad to have you up in Pontiac today.
Members of the General Assembly heading back to Springfield. Are you looking forward to getting back?
I really am. We've obviously got a lot of work to do, and we've been doing a lot of preparation for that as that time gets closer. Since the veto session, we've really been talking with a number of people around the district, coffee shops, businesses, schools, and we've come up with, I suppose, a number of ideas, maybe 35 to 55 ideas, somewhere in that range of ideas that many of those have come from, of course, here in our district. And we're trying to see about putting together some ideas, some bills that will help Illinois. Some of them, of course, will not go anywhere, but some of them I think have a good chance of going forward. So I'm anxious to get those filed, and some of them have already been filed, and then working with my fellow legislators to get something done. Some of the big things I think we really got to focus on: pensions, the budget. Those are two serious issues we really got to try and move forward on.
You've been here a while now. What do you like most about this job?
The people, of course, are there's just a lot of good people, both in Springfield and in the district. But I think the thing I really enjoy the most is sitting down with people, listening to what's on their minds, finding out about their backgrounds, finding the issues they have. Whether it's a coffee shop, each of us have a cup of coffee and they tell what's been happening at home, or other issues that they have that make really a lot of challenges in life. And sometimes what can we do to help make some of those things better? Springfield, Dean, as we all know, is not always real. Okay? It just isn't. When you vote on an amendment for 17 times and you scratch your head thinking, why are we taking the time to do this? Well, that's just not the fun part of this. But then I remember why I am there in the first place. And it's for 108,000 people back in my district who work hard every day, who have families and try to make things work. And I see a role of state government to try and make things better. They can't be an answer for everything, but to try and make things better work for folks back home. So when I'm talking with folks about different ideas and different thoughts, that's real. That is genuine. And that's the part I value the most.
Before we start talking a little bit more about what's going to be coming up, let's go back and talk about the past legislative session, most recent one to end. Give me your impressions on what took place.
To be honest, I'm still working in my mind through that. A lot of things went in a number of directions, ups and downs, frustrations. We got a budget, which is great, but it wasn't balanced. We got some things around K-12 education, which was a good thing for all of our schools. Now we got to make sure we have the money for that moving forward. Of course, the pensions, those the whole pension system we have in the state of Illinois is the worst funded in the country. We've just got so much more to do, and I think there's got to be a political way to help move this forward to make it happen. A lot of frustration, but I do believe there are some serious things we can do and need to do and can be done in the General Assembly to make things better. But we've got to find a way, we've got to find the will to make this happen.
We always hear about the pensions. We always hear about the budget. We always hear about the big things. But individual legislators like yourself are there working on projects that you have, bills that you want to see get through. You had a few go through and signed by the governor.
We did. I've been there. This is my third year, actually starting my fourth year. And we've had, I think, between 4 and 5 bills each time go through. And the General Assembly did okay them, and the governor did sign them. And I was very glad for those. That helped address the needs of people in our district. It allowed us to help build relationships with both sides of the aisle, because you're not going to get a bill passed out of the General Assembly without Democratic and Republican votes to make this happen. So very, very pleased with that.
You also had a number of pieces of legislation that got hung up in the Rules Committee and stayed in the Rules Committee. Would you like to see that process change, the way that works?
I would love to have a way or process in which more than one person makes the final say on which bills get through the Rules Committee or not. There's 5 people in the committee. There's 3 Democrats, 2 Republicans, and Speaker Madigan has the final word on every bill that is allowed to go through there. I have talked with some other state legislatures around the country. One state legislature, Dean, for example, allows you a maximum of 5 bills total. 5 bills. So that changes a perspective in a lot of ways. Yeah. And I just think, there's different ways we can do some things. If we did something like that, that might change our focus and maybe help us focus on really getting some of those key things done. But sometimes we have so many bills and part of that's by design, left hand, the right hand, the shuffle where the left doesn't really know what the right hand is doing sometimes, and that's by design, I think, for sure. But we need to find a better process in which people are more involved in allowing things to move forward. Let's get it to the House floor for a vote. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But it's awful hard to have a lot of discussion when it doesn't even get out of the Rules Committee.
Get out of there.
Yeah.
Any other things you'd like to see changed? I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and the subject of redistricting, the maps came up. Redistricting has to change some point, doesn't it?
I sure hope so. Every 10 years, the census comes by, and based on that census that we have, determines, first of all, how many congressional districts we have. And we're going to lose one now this next time. I think we've lost 2 now in the last 2 consensus or 2 censuses we've had. And then based on those, where there's a process in place in Springfield to where the General Assembly and the governor and the Supreme Court works together putting together maps for the entire state of Illinois. For a large majority of the time, the maps have been designed by the Democratic side of the aisle, and they've really had some major impacts. When you look at the maps on the state of Illinois, they don't look nice chunks, rectangles, or squares. They're all over the maps. They look like bananas or just different kinds of fruits, to where they shape the districts. So basically, the districts are made for the individual politician, which we really need to realize. This is about the voters. This is not about the politicians. We've got to change that format. And I think the district maps, we need to change that.
Your 106th district is a huge one. We're sitting here in your district office in Pontiac, but
Yes.
it goes further to the west, almost to Peoria,
Yep.
up north to Dwight, close to Dwight, to the Indiana border to the east, and go south and southeast almost to Danville. That's
Yes.
a good-sized area.
I've been told it's maybe the 3rd largest geographically speaking district in our state. If I fill up my car full gas in Eureka, which is the southwest corner of our district, which is northwest of Bloomington, Illinois, and then I go all the way over to the southeast corner of the district, which is a wonderful little town called Bismarck, which is just a few miles north of Danville. It's probably about 2 hours and 30 minutes drive one way to get there. And it's just a very big district, 65 small towns, villages, communities. Pontiac's the largest town, 12,000 people. And we have I think 2 or 3 towns that are 5,000, and that drops 4,000, 3,000. And then you hit a lot of wonderful towns at 1,500, 1,000. Potomac, right down there. Got to mention that.
About 700 people where I grew up over in Potomac. They've got some pretty good things to say about you, by the way.
Well, thank you. It's a great area. Good people. They care about each other, and it's a great area.
As you get out, what are you hearing from people?
They're glad to see me out and around, which we always try and do. But there's frustration. People are leaving. They don't really quite understand how one man has so much power in the General Assembly. They don't know how he got it there, and they think we ought to be able to take care of that right now and stop that at this point. They know we're in trouble with our taxes. They don't want more taxes. They're very concerned about the pensions. They're very concerned about without having a budget. Workers' comp, I hear that quite often. We live right along the Indiana line, so I've had people talk to me about taking their businesses 10 miles to the border. And I've had one company, for example, tell me, great people, they saved over $68,000 in 1 year because of workers' comp is so much better in Indiana. And that's not unusual. So there's a lot of frustration, a lot of concern, and a lot of not understanding why or how things work. People are busy. They're involved with their jobs, their businesses, their families, their communities. And by the time you get home, Dean, people are just plumb worn out and they're tired. And then you flip on the TV and you hear one thing, and then you flip channels and you hear just the opposite. And so where do you even turn to? What do you even listen on the radio or TV to really understand what the true challenge is? And that creates a world of frustration. Who do you trust?
Hopefully some of those issues, like the workers' comp,
yeah,
maybe we can take care of that coming up in the
I'm
session.
hoping. Let's add that to the list with pensions and a budget that's balanced. Absolutely.
You live in the Gibson City area?
I do.
Married 37 years?
Very much so. We just celebrated our 37th anniversary.
End of December?
December 27th. We got married. We both were school teachers, and so that was Christmas break. So we thought, well, we'll just get married then. So all the family was home. My sister came from Seattle, so it was all good.
2 children?
We have 2 children, 4 grandchildren.
4 grandchildren?
Yeah, just our 4th one just is 12 weeks old. They're 8, 6, and 4. The 12-week-old is in North Carolina, so we're making a point, of course, to get out there to see them. But the 8, 6, and 4-year-olds are like 5 blocks from us, and so we get a chance to see them almost every day. And they're just a lot of fun. Their perspective of the world is so different. It helps to listen to what they're thinking. You can see their gears turning, and it's just a lot of fun.
What about being the teacher? Do you miss teaching?
I taught school from 1978, I think it was, to 1985, a long time ago. I taught in small school districts. I taught 1 year up around Chicago, and I taught in 6 years at Melvin Sibley, 77 kids in the high school.
Sibley.
Melvin Sibley, you betcha. No, Sib Rams. And 75 kids in the junior high. And that was a long time ago. I was pretty much, I guess you could say, 3/4 of the science department at Melvin Sibley. Physics, chemistry, physical science. I didn't do the biology, the bugs and the blood and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going there. But I really enjoyed what we did, but I enjoyed the kids. And I could shape the materials that we taught with the kids that I knew. So I could really pretty much shape it the way I felt it needed to go. And I really appreciate the flexibility of what we were able to do. But it's changed a lot since then, a lot more controls, and I understand those things. But and of course, you can't afford the situation that I was in at that point. I had 5 kids in my physics class, anywhere from 2 kids 1 year to 5, and you just can't economically do that anymore.
Where'd you grow up?
In Gibson City.
In Gibson City?
Yep.
Good place to grow up?
Oh, absolutely. Grew up on a farm. Basically had one of 5 kids. We had about a 400-acre farm at the time, and that was enough for us to make things work. And my mom worked part-time at the school, and then worked with a preschool program for a number of years. And we never went without. We were always thankful for what we did. But, I mean, did we get rich? No, that wasn't part of the plan. But Mom and Dad both taught us a lot about values and treating each other with respect, having patience, and all those kind of things. And that studying was important. That wasn't my goal necessarily, but they definitely got it in their minds that you got to learn. You can't stop. There's always more to know.
They're smarter than what we give them credit for when we were younger.
Oh, God bless them. Yes. I'm very glad they didn't give up.
Do you still keep in touch with people you grew up with?
I do. Some. There's still some folks around Gibson area. Yeah. Keep in touch with some folks from college, and I try and keep in touch with folks I used to work with at State Farm.
I took a look, and I saw those pictures of your grandkids, but I also noticed some pictures of Tom Bennett, the singer.
Oh, dear.
Tell me about that.
It really has been a lot of fun. It's a group called Jake's Boys that started 21 years ago, and it's basically made up of 8 guys that are from, say, within 10 miles of the Gibson City area. And it started because we were all part of a musical called Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And the lady that brought us all together has since passed away, but it was her dream for this musical, and she went and got all 8 guys together. So after we did the musical, and just there's a lot of singing, a lot of guys involved with that, we had a great time. And we got together at my house, and we said, we don't want to quit singing. This is a lot of fun. So my daughter, Megan, who was 8th grade at the time, had taken piano lessons for a long time, Well, to her it may seem like that way, I guess. But she started playing the piano for us. And so we just started singing from there, and we started singing hymns at different churches and what have you. And then we started to expand from there. We got to the point where we had 3 different piano players. We've recorded, I think, 6 or 7 CDs. We're almost done with our next one here. And it's been pretty much the same 8 guys the entire time. Just in the last 3 or 4 months, the first gentleman stepped down, had some health issues, and so my nephew Alex is stepping in. Yeah. So we have 8 guys, 2 guys on each part, and it's just we sing at churches. We've sung in three different states. No, I'm sorry, I think it's more like 4 different states. Lost track of it, but it's just been a lot of fun.
You mentioned some friends you still have, and of course your family. What are you known for in your family and your friends? What do they know you for?
I guess kind of what I do more of, and it's kind of worked out gradually where I'm in some ways kind of the organizer, bringing people together in some ways, bringing a family together, or just organizing what we're going to do here or do there. I guess it's just someone's got to do it, so I guess we just kind of do it that way.
What do you do to relax at the end of the day?
Well, the days are long. Sometimes we'll be out on the road 6:30 in the morning. Sometimes I'll get home 9 o'clock at night or later, a little bit later. So depending on what time I get home, the best thing to do is just sit down and talk with the wife, see how her day was. And usually we'll be talking a couple of times at least throughout the day. But then if I still have any energy left, I want to flip on the TV and get some old movies, whether it's John Wayne or Harrison Ford, Star Wars, Star Trek, whatever's out there. That just helps me relax a little bit, and those are just fun to do.
Did you get any time in for a vacation?
We did do something actually over the holiday. It was kind of a thing with my wife Kathy, but I had gotten tickets to go to Galena for a couple of days, and I didn't tell her. It was just, dear, plan for these days. We're going to be gone. Get some walking shoes. And so I got the hotels, got all that kind of stuff. And we went up there for a day or so, a chance to walk around, just her and me, and enjoying the shops and the restaurants and meeting with people. And it just was a nice chance to just get away a little bit. And that was fun. Any
other particular place you'd like to go?
I'd like to spend maybe a little more time out west in the Northwest area. Oregon, Washington, that beautiful area, but I've just only been there just a little bit. California, certain areas, oh my gosh, beautiful.
Beautiful areas.
Yeah.
Besides the singing, do you have any other hobbies that you like to do?
I've got a stack of books that I want to get to, but I haven't gotten very far. So they're there waiting. Abraham Lincoln is I have some things on him. Just past historical figures. A couple of presidents I have some books on. So it's a pile just waiting. It's actually growing, and sometime I hope to get to it.
Just take some time and sit down and read.
Yeah,
take it easy. We mentioned your 2 children and now the 4 grandchildren. What do you like most about your family?
That's a good question. I like the togetherness. I like the talking. I like the humor. There's some teasing back and forth going on, and typically it's good natured. But I guess the sharing of ideas and watching the kids grow up and having them hopefully share the same values you have over time. And then all of a sudden, they turn around, and it's like, Dean, they're not kids anymore. They're grown up. Watching my 8-year-old granddaughter talking about things, it's like, she's 8 years old, she's talking about this topic and whatever it is. And there's some neat things that are going on. I'm always amazed, always surprised to watch what they do, and it's just fun. Watch them grow.
Watch them grow.
Absolutely.
Who inspires you to do better?
A lot of people, but people I've had at work challenge me on certain things. Ken Andreezy was a great boss of mine at State Farm. A couple of ministers I knew as a kid growing up. Hugh Reynolds was a great man that encouraged me to do certain things. But I guess in a lot of ways it comes down to, again, family with my mom, who really was willing to talk about anything and everything at any time. And then my 2 brothers, Bob and Doug, we could, again, talk about a lot of different things. So I guess that was it. They either challenged or listened or did the humor thing, just kind of keep it going. But it was a lot of good stuff.
State Representative Tom Bennett, the 106th District, has been our guest today. Tom, thanks for being with us, and we'll see you back in Springfield.
Thank you.